Robots have now replaced humans in the boxing ring. Charlie, a retired boxer, barely gets by as a two-bit promoter, piecing together cut-rate fighting bots from scrap metal. But with the help of his son Max, who finds and trains a very special fighting bot, Charlie is given one last chance to redeem himself in Real Steel.
Real Steel, we've all just seen it. Liz, tell us what you thought.
Real Steel to me is a popcorn movie. And I went in experiencing a lot of logic failures when I was watching the film, but I was rather dismissive of all the story problems because to me, I'm not really the audience, but I had a good time.
Because it's executive produced by Steven Spielberg, I was assuming it was gonna be a very taut family drama with the background of this robot boxing, but really it's not that at all. It's very contrived and very unrealistic.
One thing I kept thinking to myself as I was watching this movie was, it is going to make so much money.
Yep.
It's almost unfair. From product placement to story elements, it's pitched at 8-year-olds and 12-year-old boys, and it uses that excuse to get away with some pretty egregious plot holes. And I had a hard time watching, quite frankly.
We always want it to be fresh, and this movie just is so unfresh, it's rotten.
You're exactly right, because it recycles almost every boxing trope under the sun.
Exactly.
I mean, we have Rockies run through the neighborhood, which no one needs to do because robots don't have cardiovascular fitness, right? We've got Ali's rope-a-dope from Rumble in the Jungle, which doesn't make any sense because robots don't run out of energy because you replace their batteries all the time. It's basically this boxing movie in robot form. So every single place you see boxer or human in the story, scratch that out, write robot in instead, and you can plug it in wholesale. I mean, just from a logic standpoint, if robots are gonna get punched in the head all the time, don't put important stuff in the head.
The director threw in as much stuff as possible, hoping that it would make a complete movie without connecting any of it together. For example, there is this kid, and he somehow takes a 1,000-pound robot up this steep hill.
After digging it out of 3 feet of dirt to begin with.
Where did the robot come from? I would like
Exactly.
to know. And why does it still work?
And why is it there kind of hanging out on the edge of a muddy cliff?
What kind of father lets his little kid in the rain carry a 1,000-pound robot?
He just says, screw it, I'm out of here, and just walks off. Hugh Jackman plays an out-and-out jerk, but instead of writing him in a way that he has some humanity or some complex qualities, they basically figure, we can write him a straight-ahead jerk, but people will like him because we rely on Hugh Jackman's charm, charisma, and good looks.
You know, Drive was supposed to be made with Hugh Jackman with a $50 million budget. Instead, it was turned into a smaller indie pick, and it really shows how Ryan Gosling chooses to be an actor. And Hugh Jackman, he's a movie star. And so that's why I'm kind of a little bit more forgiving about this film, because this is a movie star vehicle. It's a popcorn film.
It didn't do the work that was necessary for us to really feel these characters.
But it had a really strong, interesting child protagonist. And I think that's something that's a positive to this film. And if anything, if you're saying it's a kid's film or it's a family film, well, thank God for that character, because it's a, positive role model for little kids to look at a leader and, in an action film that's a smart little kid.
And I feel bad for harping on the kid, because he's a kid, but I didn't buy it. He didn't have that natural kid acting ability.
Well, he was wise beyond his years.
Exactly.
He was wise beyond Hugh Jackman's years.
50,000 guaranteed, winner takes all.
50, really, 50. Now you're talking.
Listen! Give me a second.
We should take an undercard fight, make a little cash, and get the hell out of here.
Shawn Levy, who's our director of our film, a USC alum, he's very firmly entrenched in this family-friendly, heartfelt Disney mode, for lack of a better word.
The main thing that I really enjoyed about the director is that he used a lot of practical effects. He used a lot of real robots, surprisingly. So whenever you see the robot standing still, it's a real robot. That's probably the most that he brought into this movie.
All right, so then tell us what you really think about the rest of it.
Well, this film panders to audiences with its pastiche of underdog sports stories, and then it panders to studios with its use of ads constantly thrown throughout. You have the HP robot controller, you have the
Xbox.
Xbox 720.
720.
The ads all around the arena.
There's
everywhere.
Bing,
Dr.
Virgin,
Pepper.
the Virgin Arena. I mean,
It's horrible. It's really offensive, and I think that's a directorial misstep.
the first 15 to 20 minutes are actually pretty great. They set up this intriguing dichotomy of humans and robots, but it strays away from all the interesting societal questions. It strays away also from the interesting sci-fi points. Does this robot have a soul? It's mentioned for 30 seconds, and then you never hear from it again. But in its place, what you get is a robot staring into a mirror, existentially, wistfully, thinking, who am I?
What could be?
But that's not this film. The film doesn't explore those themes because that's not the film we're watching.
Right, but if it was done with a little bit of irony, it would have been fine. But there was no irony. We were really thinking
It was
that.
hilarious to me. I found
But
that.
that's what I'm saying. I don't think the scene was supposed to be played for comedic purposes. I think they
I
were
don't
really
think
trying to
so
play
either.
it straight.
This movie is an irony-free zone.
Exactly.
And entirely. I was actually, believe it or not, kind of excited about this movie because I thought there would be a bit of a wink to the audience. But yet, the tack that it took was heartfelt and earnest and all about family values. It just feels lazy. They could have taken it one step further,
lazy, yeah.
and instead it becomes Rocky IV.
I love Rocky IV. Well, I think it's time to take our tickets. So.
Fair enough.
Even though this film is clunky, nonsensical, and saccharine, it knows its boyhood audience very well, and it knows that audience is an easy mark. Skip it.
Even though prepubescent boys are gonna love this, I still thought it was a contrived, robotic mess. Watch Neverending Story instead. Skip it.
Well, if you don't look deep enough, I think this is a great babysitter, and I had a lot of fun. So I'm gonna say, stream it.
So we got a half a ticket. Sorry, Liz, our 2 skip it's trump your half ticket, so it's a skip it.
All right.
Democracy works.
Yeah.